Hi, everybody, and welcome to Nathan on Shuffle and to a very special episode, a vinyl and CD haul episode where I just go through my collection and what I've acquired recently and just going through the albums that have been added to my collection as of late. Both on CD and vinyl. I'm going to try to go through this stuff fairly quickly because I know it can take a lot of time to go through I have stacks and stacks of stuff that I want to talk through. Basically, this is all the albums that I've added to my collection from this year. So it's a pretty large gap of time, about 8 months worth of stuff that I've acquired. And like I always mention in these episodes, and it never ends up being true, I'm going to try to scale back and not buy as much this next go around. So it might be a while till I do another one of these, but we'll see. I always say that, and then I end up just not being able to help myself and getting a bunch of new albums anyways. But first of all, several of the albums that I've gotten over the past little while are behind me on the wall. So I'll just mention them briefly. I didn't feel like it was worth the effort to bring them down and to like show them here and stuff. I have a bunch of other stuff that I think will be more interesting to show off. So from I don't know, up here over, we've got Styx, Circling from Above, incredible new album from Styx that I've loved. Cosmic Cathedral, that's the album just right over my head. This is the new Neil Morse project, of course, with Chester Thompson and Phil Keaggy. So that one is one of my favorites of the year as well. Up here, it's hard because everything's like kind of reversed in the camera. But up here, I've got Steven Wilson, the Overview, which I absolutely adore. I know it kind of got mixed response, but one of my favorite albums of the year, certainly. Magic Pie, their album Maestro, is a fantastic one. Well worth checking out if you love any kind of progressive rock. It's just incredible. IQ's latest, Dominion. I love this album. I think it's a strong album from them. After the last one didn't grab me quite so much, but I feel like this is a little bit more of a return to form. This is Pattern Seeking Animals, Friend of All Creatures, which I really love. Their latest record, I collect all of their stuff on vinyl, kind of a new configuration of people from Spock's Beard's history, but have their own unique sound. John Baghold is kind of the main writer of this group. We've got the latest Flower Kings record, Love. Maybe not my all-time favorite Flower Kings record, but I think it's one of the strongest of kind of their new era in the band. Really cool, lengthy record, but a lot of cool stuff. Behind my head, here is Dim Gray, Shards, which I really like a lot. I think this is a fun album. Kind of has a more poppier tendency, kind of like the Mirror albums that I've been loving, that I called my favorite album of last year. This is a really cool record that I really recommend. Of course, on the other side over here, we've got Dream Theater, Parasomnia, which I really love. I think it's a great return of Mike Portnoy and one of my favorite records from them. And then finally, if I move over a little bit, we've got Acrust. And their album that I think is really fantastic. This is their sophomore record, and I think it's a really great one in their collection. Kind of a meld of Opeth and Porcupine Tree, but with their own unique style. And so those are some great albums that I've acquired this year that I wanted to quickly mention at the top of the episode. Another one that just probably should be on the wall, but there's only so much space, right? Is Tiktaalik from Charlie Griffiths, another album that came out this year that I think is really cool. I prefer the first record, Tiktaalik, but this one's really cool too, Gods of Pangea. This is a solo record from one of the guitarists of Haken, and I love the inside. I just think it's really, really beautiful. So really great record and fun to own on vinyl, so I thought that was worth it, for me at least. And then I want to quickly rifle through some CDs before I get kind of to the vinyl proper. Some other new releases. I've been trying to kind of mix it up and get half new releases on CD and half on vinyl, because vinyl can be supremely expensive, but I still like to own the music that I really love. So I've been opting to get CDs, and some of these are only available on CD. They don't have a vinyl release anyways. So just rifling through these super quick. The new Car Mechanic record, Transmutation. Absolutely adore it. I think this is a great record. This band never misses for me. I really love it. Jonas Reingold's project. Jacob Roberge, his album The Passing, I had to get on CD. I think it's one of the best records this year. A debut record from a great young new talent. Very Neil Morsean. And I just absolutely adore it. The new Ekelin record, which is actually basically two records. So I have These ones, Time Silent Radio 2 and Time Silent Radio 7, I had to pick those up. Those aren't available on vinyl, so I picked it up on CD. The new Dominic Sanderson record, this is Blazing Revelations, another new young artist who has quite a bit of like a Vandergraaf Generator style, maybe a bit of King Crimson, that kind of thing. Very much a throwback, but a great record I've talked about on the channel. I like the new Benthos record. This is more heavy than I usually do. This is called From Nothing. Heavy, aggressive, modern progressive metal. A little bit of growling vocals, but not too overwhelming from my perspective. Have a lot in common with, like Periphery and those kinds of heavier bands, but also has a bit of quirk, like a Thank You Scientist, and I found it really fun and refreshing. I also really love this album, Eden Song, Our Road to Dust. I think it's a fantastic record that's been one of my favorites this year as well. Have a bit of like a Dream Theater meets Jethro Tull kind of vibe, perhaps. The new record from Lars Fredrik Freusli, Gamle Meister. This is the keyboardist of Wobbler, vintage instruments, cool classic 70s prog sound, fantastic record. Got this one kind of on a whim, Maestric, the album, I believe it's called Espresso della Vite Lunare. This is cool progressive metal, kind of this interesting, goofy concept record that has a lot of character and a lot of fun to it. So kind of an underrated record there. I really like the new Nad Sylvan record. This is his latest, Monumentata. I find it really cool. It's kind of a bit more poppier maybe in direction, but a really cool record that I've enjoyed. A lot of great harmonies and melodies and just fantastic to listen to. I got the latest two Happy the Man reissues on CD because I really like American prog, as you'll find out on this episode. So I have this, which is their self-titled debut record, and then this one, Crafty Hands, I got as well. Didn't have these in the collection. Classic 70s American prog, well worth checking out. At the same time, I got Engelgard, their live release here. Just came up in stock, and I really like the band, so thought I'd pick it up. Live release from Engelgard. And Echoland's Cowboy Poems Free, just to fill kind of a gap in my collection, since I was into Echoland this year with their new releases. Didn't have a copy of this yet, so I had to add it to the collection. And I've mentioned them on the channel already, but the latest live set from Haken, which I absolutely love and adore. I think this is a fantastic live album. And the newest reissue of Gentle Giants, Playing the Fool, I got this year as well. So those are some of the CD releases this year that I have. And I also wanted to quickly rifle through. I just got a shipment of stuff from Prog Rock Essentials, which I'm really grateful for. They sent me a CD with sent me a package with some of their recent releases. So stuff that I still need to get into. I've basically really behind, but I wanted to shout them out and kind of showcase what they sent me. So Enigmatic Sound Machines and Perfect Silence, an album I need to check out. This one, Imaginarium, Siege, a really interesting, cool kind of cinematic album there. Discipline's latest record, Breadcrumbs, which I talked about in my August roundup. Really enjoy this one. I think it's really cool. Kind of has a mellow, laid-back vibe, but really fun. The new Solstice, this is a live record, I believe, Blu-ray and CD, Return to Croppity. Love Solstice. In fact, they also sent me their latest record, Clan, which I talked about on the channel and absolutely adore. This is one of my favorite records of the year, so definitely check that out. And this Unitopia set, Live and Kicking, a Blu-ray 2 CD set of their live show, which one of my favorite bands. I love this one, so very grateful. Thank you to Prog Rock Essentials for sending me these items. Very much appreciated. So that's the CD side of things. Now let's get into the more interesting kind of vinyl section of this episode. And I'm going to end on some of the stuff I've gotten around my birthday because I just turned 40. I'll age myself on the channel in earlier August. So I did some vinyl spending and got some gifts from some friends and family. So I'm going to be talking about that a little bit later. But first, rifle through some of the recent purchases that I've had. I've been trying to get into Steely Dan and been collecting all their reissued albums. This is Katie Lied. an incredible record from them. I really love their catalog, their 70s records. There's another one in this mix that I'll get to soon, but I think this is one of their best records. I really love it and just very happy to add it into the collection for sure. Okay, Good Night. This album is The Fox and the Bird, one of my favorites. Came out a couple years ago, finally out on vinyl for the first time. This is a signed copy. Absolutely love this record. Love this cover. I think it's beautiful. It's more prog metal, concept record. It has a female vocalist, and I just love some of the folkier numbers on here, but also some of the more instrumental prog metal stuff, not unlike Haken perhaps. There's a little bit of growling vocals at sections, but overall it's just a beautiful record, and I really recommend it. I think this is a lot of fun, and really happy with this purchase here. I think it's really cool. And it's a cool color of vinyl. This kind of cool pink translucent shade. So I thought that worked well. Usually when I'm getting colored vinyl, I want it to work well with the cover art, which I think this works fantastically well. So excellent package, excellent from the band for coming out with this release. Continuing forward with Neal Morse, he's been releasing his classic solo albums on vinyl for the first time, and I, of course, had to pick up Sola Scriptura, which I think is one of his best records of all time, so certainly had to be added to the collection. One of my favorite, top 10 favorite record of all time, obviously. I'm a massive super fan, and it's a dream come true to finally get this record on vinyl, so had to have it. The minute it was announced, it was in my inbox, or I'd pre-ordered it. So that's definitely important to me. Spock's Beard, their latest Octane, they're kind of releasing their records with Nick DiVirgilio at the helm slowly on vinyl too. So love Octane. I think it's underrated. I don't think many consider this like one of their top tier best records, but I actually really love it. I think it's them kind of finding their own footing and their own sound after a bit of an experimental step with Feel Euphoria. Finally coming into their own after the absence of Neal Morse in the group. But a fabulous record, and just pleased to have it on vinyl. Certainly, just fantastic. I also had to pick up Ayreon, The Human Equation, one of my favorite records of all time. This is an incredible release, just a sprawling collection of different vocalist, instrumentalists that Arjen Lucassen handpicked to put together this really incredible concept record dealing with emotions and all that. Has James LaBrie on it, and Michael Ackerfeld, and all these huge names that are incredible to see together on a record. So absolutely love this. So glad to have it. It's 3 LP set, so a lot going on in this record, but absolutely a must-have for my collection. Like I mentioned, you got to have Steely Dan, got to get the Royal Scam. This was kind of the last piece of like my classic Steely Dan record collection, and consequently probably my favorite Steely Dan record, I think. This or Asia, but I really love this record and what the band was able to do here, so fantastic. I had to pick up Symphony X and their album The Odyssey. Fantastic prog metal group. I thought this was cool when I saw it come across my interest on my social media sites, and it reminded me of how much I loved them back in the day when this came out, so I had to pick it up on vinyl. And it also has kind of a cool colored vinyl effect as well, because you've got one disc that has kind of the orange tint to it, which is really beautiful, and then the other one has more of a reddish hue to it. So kind of cool. Together, it's just a really cool set that has just really cool colors attached to it. And thought it was worth picking up and adding to the collection. So here it is. I've also been getting into like obscure American prog that I'm testing out the waters and seeing what it sounds like. So I got Easter Island, their record. This is like kind of a forgotten 70s prog album that I think is pretty cool sounding. These releases are a bit more raw and not as polished, but that kind of adds to their charm. It's fun to see what bands were doing back then that just never really saw much of the light of day at the time. So this has been a fun release to listen to, Easter Island, and also got this record, Yezda Urfa, which I think is really cool as well. So really fun to kind of discover this obscure music that I just wasn't really that aware of all this time. So really cool, fun album to add to the collection. just recently acquired the new Moonletters record, so I wanted to showcase that. This is a fantastic record from this year that I just recently received. I was part of their Kickstarter campaign, so I wanted to support them and thought it would be cool to add this to the collection. So here it is, Moonletters, signed by the group. Really grateful for them sending this my way. Definitely one of my favorite albums of the year. And then I just got this today in the mail, just right before I started filming. This is the new Steven Wilson anniversary edition of this classic record, Hand Cannot Erase. I love this record, one of my favorite all-time records, and when I saw the splatter anniversary edition vinyl, it's just so pretty. I'll have to show you the actual colored vinyl itself, which fits this cover art perfectly. Just a fantastic collection, and so happy to finally have this. You know, I've been collecting vinyl for several years now, and it's shocking that this hasn't been added to my collection yet. And I guess in some ways it kind of worked out perfectly, because this is the version that I would have liked to have had in the collection. So I'm really happy with it. And here's that beautiful splattered colored vinyl. Just fantastic. A+. You know, this is exactly the right format to put this album in. So I'm excited to dive back into this record and listen to it. Fantastic. One of the best records of this century in prog. And then I'm going to finish off with the birthday haul stuff, but I do have one last package. I don't think I've talked about this on the channel, but I did go ahead and get this box set of Dream Theater Volume 2. This is 4 different albums from their collection on vinyl. I've been slowly trying to get all of their records on vinyl. And in this one, it has 6 Degrees of Inner Turbulence, Train of Thought, of course, Octavarium, and ending with Systematic Chaos. So fantastic 4 records. Definitely must-haves in my collection. I actually already had a version of Train of Thought and Octavarium, but I wanted the box set to match my first box set, and of course wanted to add 6 Degrees of Inner Turbulence and Systematic Chaos to the collection. So I went ahead and sprung for it, and I'm glad I did, because it just adds consistency because I already have those the other box set, so it makes sense to have both box sets together now. And then finally, I went to a record store around my birthday. I went on a trip with my family up the Central Coast in California and went to a record store there and bought a few things, the kind of random items. I just kind of hunt around and just see what sticks out to me. So I don't know what compelled me to get these records in particular, but here we go. I got Genesis, and then there were 3. I just didn't really have a great copy of this one yet in my collection. I know it's not really people's favorite Genesis record, but I still really like it. I think there's still plenty of prog that the band has here, and so it's always been kind of an underrated favorite of mine, and I thought it was worthy to add to the collection, obviously, in vinyl form. So really glad to have that in the collection. I picked up, which was kind of coincidental, I didn't know that they'd be taking all of their stuff off of Spotify, but I picked up the latest from King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard. This is Phantom Island, which I've been really digging. I've had trouble with King Gizzard in the past. Like, sometimes I just struggle to get into their albums, and they're always doing wild stylistic changes, but I really love this record. It brings kind of the 70s funk, sunnier aesthetic to it with some horn arrangements, and I just think it's a fantastic summer record that's been one of my favorites to listen to this year so far, so I had to pick it up in physical form. I planned to get this last year, just never got around to it, so I decided to take the plunge this time, and this is the new sound by Jordy Griep of Black Midi fame. Love this record. I think it's really creative and unique. Pretty dark and kind of wild, but for some reason it just connected to me. I really like kind of the jazzier style that Jordy is going for on this record. I think it's one of the most creative records of the past few years, and quite striking cover art as well. So really a fun record, and I wanted to make sure to add it to the collection at some point in time. So here it is. It's now in the collection. And then I picked up the debut record from the Decemberists. So I thought that was cool. Castaways and Cutouts, I believe this is called. I've always been a big Decemberist fan, especially of The Crane Wife and Hazards of Love. I think is their premium period where they brought a lot of prog elements, but definitely a cool indie folk kind of band that I really respect. So I thought it'd be cool to add their debut record into my collection. And I found this in the wild. I thought this was cool. Maybe not the most amazing record of all time, but I really love this group. This is Kino, and the album is called Radio Voltaire, upside down. But here's the right side up version. Kino's Radio Voltaire. I really like Kino. It's kind of a super group of sorts with John Mitchell and Pete Trewavas. And it's more pop oriented. It's not as proggy as you might expect. But I've always really liked their sound and the flavor of the record that they've produced here. So definitely wanted to have this. And I didn't plan to see it in the wild. I was surprised to see it at a record store. I just bought it immediately because of that cool factor, to see something overtly proggy and a little more obscure out in a record store in the wild. In my record stores near me, I never see very modern prog records. It's just not really something you come across very often, but here we go. I was happy to see that. And my wife always comes through with some incredible albums for me. She's always going to Discogs and eBay and trying to find these Holy Grail type albums that are on my list that I just feel like are impossible to find now. And she picked up a good one for me. This is the Neil Morse Band's The Grand Experiment, kind of the missing piece of my Neil Morse Band collection. Just never have been able to find it at a reasonable price. I just kind of barely missed the boat on when it originally came out. I wasn't quite into vinyl when it first was released, and it's hard to come across a copy nowadays, but here it is. She found it, and I'm just so pleased and thankful for this record being added to my collection. She just nailed it. Hit out of the park with one of my favorite modern prog records. Must listen. I love this record. And then she also knocked it out of the park with another collection that she bought me. Many of you will be familiar with this. She got me Close to the Edge by Yes, the deluxe, super deluxe edition that's recently come out, I believe, earlier this year. And I always thought it was just beyond my budget to go for these deluxe editions, so I didn't really spring for it. I already have this record on vinyl. I have the Steven Wilson remakes box set on vinyl. I also have it on CD, obviously, from back in the day, but so cool to have this deluxe edition. It's kind of the most premium version to have of this record, and it just comes with all these different CDs with a Blu-ray, and all, there's even a record inside at the top here. So just fantastic all the way around. Just so pleased to have this seminal record, one of my all-time favorite records, in this premium format, and so excited to dive into all the extras and the special edition features and all of that kind of stuff. So super thrilled. My wife's fantastic. What can I say? And I'm so excited to dive into that one. So excited, in fact, that I got some birthday money from my other family members and was able to kind of just go hog wild with whatever I wanted to pick up. And here's what I decided to do. Along similar veins, I decided to spring for the Yes album Super Deluxe Edition as well. So I decided to just go ahead and go for it. And already listened to the Atmos Makes version of the album on this and was just totally blown away already. So excited for that one. And of course you have to complete the collection. So I have Fragile Super Deluxe Edition as well now in the collection, the same kind of format, and super excited to dive into this as well. I feel like these albums are worthy of having these supreme editions. All-time favorite records. I'm willing to splurge a little bit for these records that I think are amongst the best of all time. I'm also pre-ordering the Lamb Lies Down on Broadway by Genesis big box set that's coming out, so excited for that. And I also, on the side, picked up a few of the Jethro Tull box sets that I've been missing as well. Picked up A Passion Play, this cool box set with this huge booklet and all the different features. One of my favorite Jethro Tull records. I know a lot of people think this was a disappointment after Thick as a Brick, but boy, to me it's just on the same level as Thick as a Brick. I absolutely love this record, and as well love Heavy Horses, which I picked up that special edition also. So I'm still missing a few. I have Aqualung, I have Songs from the Wood and Minstrel in the Gallery. So I can add these to that collection. So I'm getting closer to getting my Jethro Tull box sets. And I just really wanted to get these because I want to spend some time just immersing myself in the best versions of these classic albums that I absolutely love and have talked a lot about on the channel, and so excited to do a deep dive into these records and read the booklets and listen to all the special features and all these cool like studio outtakes and live songs and all this stuff. So super fun, excited for these acquirements into my collection. I think it was a worthy haul this time around. So thank you guys for joining me. Hopefully you appreciated this episode, even though it's a bit longer. It's been a lot of fun to talk through these records, and hopefully you found something to identify with and to like, and maybe you'll pick up as well. Let me know in the comments your latest pickups and vinyl haul stuff that you've been doing. Thank you guys so much for watching the channel, and hopefully you'll have an incredible week, and I'll catch you in a future episode. Bye everybody, enjoy the music.